In today's video, I'm going to be showing you how you can create entirely automated YouTube Shorts using n8n. We're going to generate the scripts, the audio, the visuals, and then we're even going to edit all of that together into one short form video. You can use these shorts to promote something like your business or your product, or you can just use these shorts as a way to grow a YouTube channel. And since these are short form, they'll also work on platforms like TikTok and Instagram Reels. So first of all, you can set this up with any kind of trigger here. You could have an agent call this. You could have it hooked up to a lot of different triggers that can set this automation off. But I'm just using a very basic setup right now where I just put in the query that I want for my video idea. It's just one simple line of text right here, the user query. So I'll just do an interesting fact about a jellyfish. And if I go back to Canvas here, now all I would need to do is hit test workflow and this thing would be off to the races. So let's just give it a try. I'll just hit test workflow. So here it just generated a script and then it split that script into time-stamped chunks. And then it's creating images for each one of these 6 chunks that make up this video. So we have these wait steps so that the videos can generate, and right now it's requested it, but then once that's done, we'll go ahead and get the images. And the model that we're using for this is flux lora so that we can keep a consistent style. All right, and now the images are done, so now it's going to turn those into 6 different video clips. Now keep in mind, this process is totally automated. We just put in a simple query over here. It went and generated a script, and then it generated images. And then finally, it's generating those videos from the images. And now it's going on to the editing step. So it's already sent off the request for this video to be edited. And now it's actually rendering. All right, and now as you can see, our video is complete. So let's check it out. To access this, I'm just going to open up the Get Final Video, grab the URL, and I'll just paste it in a new tab.
Did you know jellyfish are 95% water? Jellyfish, often mistaken for simple creatures, are intriguing marvels of nature. They have been around for over 500 million years, making them one of the oldest living species on Earth. Moreover, some jellyfish can even glow in the dark due to bioluminescence, adding to their mysterious charm. Learn more about these fascinating creatures and their unique traits. Discover more amazing facts.
And as you can see, that video turned out pretty amazing. And all it took was one simple prompt. Now, I'm going to show you every step of the way how to build this, but if you want the copy and paste easy install, then I highly recommend investing in and joining the AI Foundations community. In the AI Foundations community, me and my brother Drake are sharing the best course for n8n in the industry. If you go to our classroom here, you can go to this n8n mastery course, and then you can drill down into the viral shorts automation. This is where you're going to find the quick install link. So if you click on this, hit download, then all you have to do is click on these 3 dots here, import from file. Then you can go find that file and hit open, and boom, you have it all right here. The community is definitely not just about templates though, it's about learning the foundational steps to actually building these systems yourself. So if you want to network with passionate people in the space of generative AI, automations, and agents, and you want to learn these things from the ground up, then I highly recommend investing in AI Foundations. The link will be in the top pinned comment and the description below. I'm going to walk you guys through the click by click. But before we do, I just want to stress, we're coming out with original automations. We're coming out with original agent architectures here at AI Foundations. And I wear this right here on my chest. AI Foundations means originality. It means implementing things that nobody else has dared to implement yet. And what you'll see as you go throughout YouTube videos is that 90% of the people here on YouTube are pretty much just copying the stuff from the best 10% people. I mean, the other day I came out with an automation on a self-learning agent, and I'm already seeing numerous people in the industry that are just carbon copying exactly what I created. That's the price that I pay for putting this stuff out there for free on the internet. So if you could, I would appreciate it if you like this video, because I'm putting my best foot forward and I'm giving you guys all of my best stuff right here for free. And if you're looking for the #1 community to learn generative AI and how you can actually practically implement it into your life and into your business, then joining AI Foundations is going to be the best decision that you make. So I am going to be cracking open a sparkling water. I've got my Saratoga here. Let me know in the comments, are you guys sparkling or still water drinkers? What do you like to drink? This is going to be a long tutorial and I'm going to be right there with you doing this. So make sure to grab a drink, grab a beverage or a snack, and just dive in and have fun with this process as we build the shorts automation. Kicking things off here, we're going to hit add first step. I'm going to click on trigger manually. And this is going to allow us to start our workflow just by hitting this test workflow button. As you can see, that sends an item through and triggers our workflow to start. I'm just going to delete this for now, and we're going to begin building out this automation. Next, I'm going to hit this plus button. I'm going to type in OpenAI, and I'm going to click on this top OpenAI, not the OpenAI chat model, but just OpenAI. And I'm going to click on message a model. Now I'm going to name this the ideator, and I'm just going to go with the brain emoji just to kind of symbolize what this chat completion is going to be doing. I'm going to connect a credential here, and I know that this one works for me, but if you haven't already added your OpenAI credentials, you're just going to need to hit create new credential and go through and get your API key. I show how to do this in a lot of my tutorials, so I'm not going to show how to connect the credential here. This is pretty commonplace knowledge now. To get this, you can go log into platform.openai.com. This is where you're actually getting your API keys when you go to settings and then you go to your API keys. Now here where we're selecting our model, I'm going to switch this to expression, and we're actually going to use the new O3 mini model. So to do this, I'm going to type in O3-mini-2025-01-31. This is going to give me access to ChatGPT's latest model, which is actually pretty reasonable and inexpensive, but highly capable. Then we're going to give O3 Mini a system prompt. So I'm going to change the role on this message here to system, and I'm going to drag this window out so that I can type my prompt out here. So I'm just going to type in a simple prompt. You create video concepts based on the user query. Then I'm going to enter the output format. So this is the output format in JSON. It's just showing that it needs to output a script with an intro, a base, which is like the middle of the script, and then a call to action at the end. And then the next part of this JSON object is a title, and I give it a quick example and tell it 30 to 50 characters. For the description, we say 50 to 150 characters, and I tell it how to give that call to action. Now, this is the system prompt. It's all ready to go. Next, I'm going to hit add message, and we're going to leave the role on user. And since I told it here that it's going off of the user query, we're just going to enter user-query, and then I'm going to close off that box with /user-query. And then this is where we can type in our video idea. Okay, so whatever your video idea is, you're just going to replace video ideas, and we can do that later down the line. And now to get it to actually output this JSON, we need to scroll down and turn on output content as JSON. I also leave simplify output on. Now I'm going to go back to the canvas, and let's just see what this does if we hit test workflow. So now O3 Mini is going to work, and now it output an item. So let's click into here and see what it output. All right, so as you can see here, it output this structured data right here, and it gave us the entire script in all these different pieces. Now I'm going to go back to Canvas, and I'm going to click the plus button here. And next I'm going to type in set, and I'm going to click on edit fields set. And now we're going to construct our script. So I'm going to click into here, and I'm just going to give this a name of script. And then we'll drag in each part of our script so that we can give the full script value. So I'm going to pull in the intro, and then I'll put a space after that. I'll pull in the base, put a space after that variable, and then finally I'll put in the CTA. So now, as you can see, it has our entire script right here. I'm going to go back to Canvas, and now if we run this through, it should output our entire script right here. So let's just go ahead and rename this to script. And if I click into here, as you can see, it's just outputting the full script. I'll go back to Canvas. And next, we're going to implement 11 labs to generate the audio for our script. This is going to be the voice that runs the entire script and the voice of our channel. To do this, I'm going to hit the plus button. I'm going to type in HTTP, and I'm going to click on HTTP request. We'll change the method to post. And then I'm going to put in the URL to get the text to speech. So this is just api.11labs.io/v1/text-2-speech. And then we have the model ID or the voice ID that is going to run this. So this is the ID that defines which voice we want to use. And then I also have this outputting the timestamps because I want this to output in a very special format. And when we're generating these videos, they need to be dynamic. So we need to understand the total length of this video and when certain things are being said throughout it, so that later down the line, you can actually create, sort of these videos and images that are relevant to that part of the video. And I've really put some thought into this, guys. I've made this adaptive, right? I've made it so that no matter what you put through here, it's going to be able to generate short form content, whether it's a 30-second video or a 1-minute video. I'm going to rename this to script generator just so we can stay nice and organized here. And then I'm going to check send headers. Next, I'll go over to 11labs.io. I'll hit go to app. And in another window, I'm going to go to the API reference, the documentation for 11 Labs, to see exactly how they want to receive our API key. So here it shows xi-api-key. That's the name of the key. So I'm going to copy that and we're going to paste it as the name for our header parameter. And then I need to go and get my API key to put in the value here. And we also need to find a voice that we want to use for our automation so that we can replace this right here. To get your API keys, you can go to the bottom left. You can click on API keys, and then you can click on create API key. Here you can give it a name or it will generate one for you. And I'm just going to hit create. And then I'm going to copy this key to my clipboard and I'll paste that in as the value for my header parameter. So this is how you have authenticated and given access to your 11 Labs account. Think of this as your password. Now we'll close this and I'll head over to the text-to-speech playground. Next, I'm just going to type in, this is a test. And from here, I can click on the different voices over here and I can listen to all of these different voices that they have available. And if I want to test out a specific bit of text, I can just hit generate speech.
This is a test.
Now they have the voice of Patrick Bateman from American Psycho here. So if I wanted to use this one, click on the 3 dots next to the voice that you want to use after you've tested it out and you like the voice that you've chosen, and click on copy voice ID. Then we'll go back into our script generator and I'll replace the text right here with the key that I want to use. Next, I'll scroll down, I'll tick send body, and then I'll scroll down some more. And now we have some more fields to fill out. I'm going to keep this on JSON and using fields below. Then I'm going to type in text for the name right here, and we're going to drag in the script value for the text that we want to generate. Now I'm going to add another parameter, and this is where we can decide what model we want to use from 11 Labs. It's similar to ChatGPT. They have different voice generation models, kind of like ChatGPT has a 4.0 and an 0.3. And to call the model that you want to use, you set the name or the key here as the model ID. And then for the value, you can pop in the model that you want to use. I'm going to be using 11_multilingual_v2. And now if we test this step, it's going to execute the node and it's generating this content from our script and it's going to come back as a base 64. So this is basically the file represented as a string and it gives us alignment, the characters involved, the normalized alignment. And if you scroll down here quite a ways, which I probably can't even get to it because it's so far down, you'll see the character start time seconds, character start time seconds again for the normalized alignment. And this is what the next step is going to require in order for us to actually figure out where in the script the first 6 seconds, the second 6 seconds, and so on are. Now, the reason that we use 6 seconds is because the video generation model that we're going to be using generates 6-second clips. I'm going to go back to Canvas, and next we need to chunk out this script. So how do you do that? Well, we write a custom bit of code, and I already have this code written out. So I'm just going to copy and paste it. But to do this, you're just going to ask ChatGPT and work with ChatGPT whenever you need certain code written. Like I knew that I needed to use this with timestamps output, and I needed to give it the base information and the characters that are included here in order for it to give me those certain timestamps for the certain parts of that video. So all the data is passing through here, but now I need to run it through a script. So let's click the plus button, type in HTTP, And just as a quick aside, you could use the code node for this. The code node allows you to use Python code, but I don't like the way that the variables are handled in n8n's official code node. So I use a third-party tool for this. You can use something else if you wanted to, but I'm just going to do an HTTP request, and we're going to call a tool called ZeroCodeKit. I use this in a ton of my automations, and they have a run Python endpoint that we can access. So I'm going to set the method to post, and I'm going to use this URL right here, prod.zerocodekit.com/code/Python. Again, we're going to send the headers, and this time the key is similar, but this time it's off, and then we're going to put our API key in right here. This time we're going to zerocodekit.com and we're going to sign in. Once you're all signed up or signed in, you can scroll down and you can click copy on your API key right here. Go back to your workflow and enter the value of that API key here. So again, this is like your secret password to allow access to your ZeroCodeKit account so that you can use your credits over there to generate different code operations. Next, it's as simple as clicking on send body, scrolling down here, and you'll see that we have the body content type set to JSON by default. That's perfect. Using fields below, that's great as well. And we're just going to enter the name code just to say to ZeroCodeKit that this is the code value and this is what it needs to run. So now I'm going to change this to expression because I have different variables that I'm pulling from this script generator, like the audio base 64, the alignment, the normalized alignment, all of this character data, because you can kind of just pull these right in and give the code access to those variables, right? So I'm just going to paste in my code because I've already gone hard at work with this and written out some code with the help of ChatGPT. And it inserts these different variables. It inserts the audio base 64. It inserts the alignment string. It inserts the normalized alignment string. And we're using json.stringify for a lot of these because if I wasn't using JSON stringify, it wouldn't work that well. So I'm going to get rid of this base 64 variable really quick just to illustrate this for you guys. And as you can see, if I got rid of this JSON stringify right here, it would make this variable undefined. So I'm going to bring json.stringify, that operation, back into the variable. And as you can see, it pulls it through here in a way that the code can understand. So I'll bring my other variable back in with the base 64. And as you can see here, the first thing that it does is it sanitizes these strings that are pulling through. It gets rid of the non-ASCII characters, and then it parses the JSON strings into Python dictionaries. And what this is going to do overall is it's going to send through the 6-second chunks of that script so that I can generate a prompt for each chunk of the script. So again, if you just want my full code, if you don't want to work with ChatGPT to get this code, if you don't want to, maybe screenshot this and just use the code that I have, then you can join our community. You can plug this right in and then it'll just work for you. So now I'm going to close this window. I'm going to scroll down to options and I'm going to hit add option and we're going to click on the redirects. And I want to make sure follow redirects is on and we have max redirects at 21. Now let's see what happens when I hit test step. As you can see here, it split our script into these different data variables. So we have 3 different variables, or actually 4 if you count the 0 place, and it pulls through the duration of each of these sets of the script, right down to the character that it takes place at, right? So the first 6 seconds is right here. The second 6 seconds is here. And then if I go all the way to the end, you'll see that it pulls the duration for the last clip as well, so that we know exactly how long that last clip was. So if I just move my face here, you'll see what I'm talking about with that duration there. So this result came through perfect. I'm going to go back to Canvas. And now, as you can see, this is only pulling through one item, but this is a problem because we want to split this out into multiple items so that they can go through ChatGPT independently and it can create a prompt for each one of those different 6-second snippets so that it can create a prompt for each one of those 6-second snippets. So I'm going to click the plus button right here. I'm going to type in split and you should see split out. It's this little purple icon. And what this is this icon actually, it shows it very well. One item coming in, multiple items coming out. So we're going to click split out. We're going to change include to all other fields. And then I need to enter what I want to split out here. So I actually want to split out the data. So that's within this result object here. So if I type in result and then I type in dot data, that's going to get the object within result just by adding that dot and then data there. So if I test this step now, as you can see, it outputs 4 different items. So now our script has been turned into 4 different requests for the next LLM. So now I'll go back to Canvas. I'll click plus right here, type in OpenAI, and we'll click on that OpenAI again and message a model. Resource can be set to text. Make sure that you have the right credential selected. Make sure your resource is on text and you're messaging a model. And then you can select one from the list, but you'll notice once again that if I type in O3, it's not going to be available. It shows like it's not actually here yet. So I'll go back to Canvas. I'll click on my ideator over here, and I'm just going to copy the model ID from this one and then go back to Canvas and we'll open up OpenAI again. And then here I'm going to change to expression and I'm just going to paste that in. Just to keep things organized, I also want to rename this one to image prompter with my little camera emoji, and I'll just hit rename. And now this is where you can get creative with the image prompts, because what we're going to do is we're going to create, in this case, we have 4 items. We're going to create 4 different images. So it needs to know how to handle each one of those items. So I'm just going to drag this out right here and I'm going to paste in my prompt, and I'm going to walk you guys through this really quick. So don't worry, but this is where you can get really creative with it and you can give it instructions on how to output those prompts. So this prompt is where you can actually really start to influence the results of your short form automations. And I just start out by saying you are an image prompt generator agent for video production. Your role is to create starting frames for a longer video by transforming script segments into visually descriptive image prompts. Then I give it the JSON output that it actually needs to output for each one of these 4 items. And it's just a basic prompt. And then I had to add in these important instructions down here to make sure that it wasn't outputting too long of prompts or it wasn't outputting anything too advanced. And I also added some nuance. Like I said, keep it extremely simple. Don't make things that the video generation model will fail to animate. And I listed some things that AI is not good at. And then I also listed some things that it is really good at. Another important note in the instructions is I tell it to always include a certain keyword, and we'll get to this a little bit more later. This is going to depend on the flux lora model that you use. But the flux lora model that I use, the boreal flux lora model, uses this flicker photo from 2021 keyword in order to trigger it and get it to actually generate those images the way that I want them to. Since this is the system prompt here, I'm going to change the role to system, and then I'm going to add the next message where we pass in the exact variables that are necessary. So I'll hit add message, and now we're going to leave the role on user. And first, I'm going to give it the full script. So I'll paste in this variable here, change it to expression, and now as you can see, it's pulling in the full script. The next part that I'm pasting in is going to be the exact chunk of the script that we want to use. So it's going to pull in each of these individually, and then it's going to pull in the ID for that section to show the placeholder of where that is. So if I click into here to open this up for a preview, you'll see that it gives the full script, and then it tells it, okay, so here's the current scene that you're actually generating. Discover unexpected quirky life hacks for everyday brilliance. Join us as we explore creative video idea. So this is the first portion of the script that it's generating that first image for. And as you can see, it says script position 1. And it's pulling through the full script so that it can understand that this is the part of the script that it's animating, and then this is what's coming up next. Now I'm going to close this, and we're going to scroll down and make sure that we output content as JSON. And when we output the content as JSON, it should output in this format right here, where it just passes the prompt for each of these results. So now let's test the step, and now it's outputting 4 items that go along with these 4 sections of the script. So each of these have a prompt, and as you can see, it followed that special instruction that I gave it to add this flicker photo from 2012 keyword into each prompt. Now we need to start generating the images. We have the prompt for the image, but we need to actually get it into production and generate that. So I'll go back to Canvas, and we need to pass to the next step, which is going to be another HTTP module right here. So we'll click the plus button, I'll type in HTTP, and I'll click on HTTP request. We need to change the method to post. I'll rename this to request image, and I'm going to add in this URL here, api.replicate.com/v1/predictions. Next, we need to click send headers so that we can authenticate replicate and we can give it all of the variables that it needs in order to move forward with this request. So the key to authenticate with replicate is just authorization. So I'm going to make this authorization for the name, and then we need to paste in our API key here. But for replicate, before the value, we need to type in bearer and then space, and then we'll put in our key right here. So you're going to go to replicate.com, get logged in, and then click on your profile in the upper left-hand corner and click on API tokens. Now I can create a new key, and I'm just going to call this key short form video generator, and then I'll hit create token. And now I'll just hit copy on that token, and I'll paste it in right here after bearer in my value. So it should be bearer space and then our authentication token for replicate. Next, we need to give it the type of information that it's going to be passing through. So I'm going to go to add parameter. I'm going to type in content-type. And then for the content type value, we're going to put in application/JSON. And this is just telling it that JSON is going to be passed through. Now I'm going to add one more parameter, and I'm just going to type in prefer. And then we'll type in for the value, wait. Now we'll go down to send body, and I'll check send body, scroll down just a bit here, and we'll leave it on JSON for the content type. And instead of using a name and a value, I'm just going to be using JSON this time. And I'm going to change it to expression. And then I'm going to paste in this bit of JSON here. So I'll open this up in a full window. And the first thing that this requires is a version. So this is saying exactly which model we want to contact. So if we go to the models tab, and then I just click, I want to run models, then I'll see the different models that I can run here. I'm just going to search for flux lora and hit enter. And I'm going to be using this flux-dev-lora. So I'll click on it, then I'll click on API. And as you can see, it gives me the version right here. So that's what I have right here for the version. Then we need to put in the variable for our prompt. So what I did was I just dragged in the prompt right here. And as you can see, that pulls in the prompt to our request. Now, this is where you're going to get to decide on the style. I'm using this boreal-flux-dev-v2 from Kudzui. And then here, I've got a list of all of the different Flux LoRa repos that I could find on Hugging Face. So these you can think of as just different models that people have trained up to produce very similar results every time. And you can think of them as styles. Like they've got one here for flux-mona-lisa. And if I click on the Hugging Face page for this, you're going to see that this is a Mona Lisa trained Flux. So it basically is going to pull Mona Lisa into whatever your prompt is. And as you can see, they all have this keyword in there, MNALSA. So it's going to pull in a photo of Mona Lisa when you're using this repo and you're using this keyword right here. And it looks like more broadly, they use a photo of Mona Lisa woman. So if you remember when I was adding that instruction into my agent's prompt, I just put a Flickr photo from 2012 or something like that, because that was the Flux repo that I was using. But in this case, if I wanted to use this repo, then I could just pull in this keyword and give that as an instruction. And I could use this repo right here in that placeholder for the HTTP request. So the one that I'm using is this Boreal Flux Dev. So if I click into this one, you'll notice that, again, it has Flickr photo from 2008, Flickr photo from 2012. A lot of them say Flickr photo from, and then it just gives a year. And these produce some very realistic looking images. So you can find a repo that you like on Hugging Face, or if you guys just want to access this big list of repos that I have, I'll be including this in the community as well on that same module where you download the install for this. So you can head over to my community and you can check out all of those just by using the link below, signing up, and then heading over there to access all of these styles. And I'll just be giving you guys a PDF with all of these different things that you can use to call these different models. It is important to note that not all of these models are here forever. They are hosted by different people who have trained these models, and you can even train your own Flux LoRa, and I might make a video on that in the future. Let's see what this sin still one is. All right, this one is pretty sweet. And as you can see, it has this in the style of sin still. So if I wanted to use this model, I could just copy that keyword right there. We could go back into n8n and I'll go back to canvas. And then I'm going to go into my image prompter. And instead of that flicker photo instruction, I'm just going to add in this new instruction. So always include the keyword, and then I'll paste in the keyword that I want to use in the style of cn still. Then I'll go back to canvas and we'll add this as the flux repo for our request. So I'll go into the request image. I'll scroll down to the JSON body. And this is where I need to put the Hugging Face LoRa repo. So I'll just pull this from my list. And then we'll paste it in right here for the HF LoRa. And then you'll want to make sure that the aspect ratio is 9:16 so that you get those nice vertical images for your short form content. Now I'm going to go back to my canvas here and we're going to rerun the image prompter so that I can get some new prompts in here. Because if you remember right, we ran it with those boreal prompts, but this time I want to run it with the sin style prompts. All right, so now that's run through. It passed our 4 prompts. And now I'm just going to click to run the request image. And now this has output 4 items as well. So we'll click into the request image and we're going to see what it generated here. And if I scroll over even further, you'll see the HF LoRa, you'll see our aspect ratio, you'll see the prompt that it passed. And as you can see, it put that in the style of CNSTLL. And then scroll over furthermore, and you're going to see the output URLs. So I'm just going to copy one of these and we're going to see what this looks like. We'll just open it up in a new tab. And as you can see, this is what we got. So it's not exactly that style, but it is quite realistic and I like the look of it. Let's see this next one. I really like these, but they're not quite getting the CN still kind of style that I'm going for. So I'm going to show you guys how to kind of alter that image prompt in order to get more results like the ones that we wanted. So another thing that I'm noticing is a lot of these prompts have nighttime and they follow a very specific style every time. So in order to get better results with my prompting, I want to copy these prompts. Since they are pulling that exact same style, I want to put them into my image prompter's instructions here. So I'll just come down here and I'm going to put in example prompts for the style I'm going for. And then I'm just going to paste in these prompts. So I'll just copy each of these and paste them in as examples. Now I've given it 4 example prompts. Let's go ahead and test this step again. All right, it completed another 4 items, so let's check that out. All right, it's a little bit closer, but I'm still not getting that night style that I was going for. I do like the ambient lighting that it's bringing in, but it's not giving that nighttime effect with the neon lights. So I'll go back into my image prompter, and once again here, I'm just going to improve the instructions. So we'll drag this down, and I'm just going to enter in style preferences in here. So I'll just do style preferences, and I'm just going to say always make the prompts a nighttime scene, use lots of nighttime ambient lighting and neon lighting. I'll say go for wide shots, and I'll also say use 4K and sin still 800T. Let's test again and see what we get. And these prompts are looking a little bit closer. So let's see what kind of generations we get this time. All right, perfect. Now we're getting the style of image that we're after. Another example here of this nice neon lit kitchen, and yet another example of this nice city street. So as you can see from this kind of iterative workflow, this is how you get it to generate the types of images that you want. And you might have to do some work at this stage to get the images that you're after. Now, since we have in our request image here a prefer wait, it should wait until the images are complete. But what I like to do next is just to add a little wait step in here just to make sure that the images go all the way through before moving on to the next step. So I'll just click wait, and I'm just going to leave it at a 10-second time interval so that there's a little bit of a wait, a little bit of a gap between this and the next request, which is to actually get these images. I'll go back to canvas, and now I'm going to add another HTTP request. And this time it's going to be a get request, and we'll rename this to get image. I'm going to change the URL to an expression because now we're actually going to be getting each URL as it comes through. Then I'll hit execute previous nodes. And as you can see, it pulls in the rest of that variable there so I can see the URL that it's going to pull from. I'll click on send headers, And then we're going to put in our authorization. So I'll just do authorization. And then I'll put in my key once again, just like I did on the post request. And now I'll test this step and it should pull through our images. Now I'll go back to the canvas and we're going to add in another HTTP request. And this time we're actually going to request a video of that image. So we'll use our image as the first frame of the video, and that's going to allow us to generate a video using Minimax, which is the model that we're going to be using, also hosted on Replicate. So I'll hit plus here, type in HTTP, click HTTP request. I'll rename this one to request video. This time I'm going to use a post request and I'm going to use this URL here. So this one is going to use the Minimax model for our predictions, and I'll tick send headers. And then we're going to add in our authorization, which is the same as the previous ones, since this is also hosted on Replicate. So I'll paste in that value. Then we need to add the content-type parameter for application/JSON. Then I'll scroll down, tick send body, and we're going to use JSON once again. I'll switch this JSON to expression, and I'm going to paste in my new JSON that's going to be pulling in these prompts. If you wanted to, you could add another chat completion in here to OpenAI that generates a video of this or a video prompt for each of these, and that would probably improve your results as well. So if you guys want to use that as the next step, you could do that. But just for the sake of this video, I'm going to keep it simple. And we're just passing in the first frame image for the image URL that it's pulling through here for the output. I'll change this add parameter to prefer, and then we'll type in wait, and I'm going to hit test step. Now this one's going to take a little bit longer because we're actually requesting a video this time. So this can usually take like 2 to 3 minutes. Sometimes though, it can take up to 10 minutes. All right, now my output is complete. But if I scroll over here, even though I use the prefer wait, you're going to notice that it still has this status of starting, which means they might not be complete yet. What we're going to do next is use this for the get request so that we can actually pull these in. So I'll go back to canvas and I'm going to add in another wait step. So to do that, I can just duplicate this one here and I can drag it over to my request video and drag it. And then I'll click into here and I'll just rename this to wait for video. And for this one, we're going to change it, and you can play around with this, but I usually change it to 10 minutes just to be safe. Then on the other side of it, I can right click and duplicate this one. And that way I'll still have my credentials in here and I can connect it. Now for this one, we'll click in, we'll change the method to get, and then I'll use an expression for my URL. And I'm just going to use this expression, which is going to pull from our request video module, the JSON ID. I'll rename this to get video, and we already have our authorization here, but I don't need the content type or the prefer wait on this one. I can also turn off the send body. Now, if I want to, I can go into the back end of Replicate and I can see that these have succeeded if I go over to my dashboard. And if I click on each of these, I can watch the video. So as you can see, that one looks pretty freaking amazing. Since these have succeeded, I know that I can run this now. So I'm just going to run it. All right, and then it's pulled through 4 new items. So I'm going to take a look at these items and see what it's pulling through. So we have our kitchen image turned into a video. We have our urban street corner, and I kind of like how this is flashing. And oh my gosh, did you just see that car right there? It actually has a car coming through super clean, and it looks nice. It looks like it's actually a real video. And let's check out this final video as well. And as you can see, it has all of this fog right here forming, which looks super nice. Next, we're going to move on to the edit step of this video. But first, because we've already moved our audio through in the format that it's in, we need to actually upload that audio as the full form of the audio. We need to create a file for it that we can host somewhere. So for this, I use a free Cloudinary account. And Cloudinary is kind of like a beefed up version of Google Drive. If I could have used Google Drive for this, if it would have worked, I would have done that. But Cloudinary is a lot better at handling video and audio files and passing them through in programmatic automations like this one. So for this next step, we actually have to go back to when we were generating the script over here. And instead of going one way all the way through with the script, we need to connect it down here to upload to Cloudinary. And then we're going to need to merge it back in with the rest of this before editing the video. So I'll click the plus button in the upper right-hand corner. I'll type in HTTP and I'm going to click on HTTP request. So you're going to make sure the method is set to post. You're going to make sure the name is upload to Cloudinary. And then I'm going to paste in this URL here. And here we're going to need to go over to Cloudinary and get our cloud name. So head over to Cloudinary, get logged in, and then copy your cloud name from up here. We're going to paste it in right here where I have cloud written. Then you're going to tick send body and scroll down. And for the body content type, we're going to change it to form URL encoded. And for the name here, I'm going to type in file. And then I'm going to paste in this value right here and change it to expression. So this value is just going to pull the base 64 audio from the previous module, query 11 labs. I'll add another parameter. And this time we're going to type in upload underscore preset. And we're going to head back over to Cloudinary, click on the settings button in the bottom left. Click on upload, click on these three dots on the ML default and hit edit. And then just for right now, I'm going to be using an unsigned version of this. Then I'll hit save and we'll copy that ML underscore default. And we're going to paste that in for the value of the upload underscore preset. And then we're going to go back to Canvas. And now we need to connect up this upload to Cloudinary. If you don't have data in here, you're going to need to pin some data from a previous execution. So go back to your executions and find a piece of data that is all the way through, at least to the script generator, and hit copy to editor. And then we're going to drag our script generator into this upload to Cloudinary, and then we're going to run upload to Cloudinary. And as you can see, it pulled that one item through. Now I'll go back to executions once more, and I want to repin this data so that I have everything all the way through to the get video. And here I'm going to click on the plus after get video, and I'm going to type in aggregate, and I should see aggregate here. I'll click on it, and then we want to select all item data into a single list. We're going to change this put output field to videos, and then we're going to include specified fields. And I want to get the output field, I believe is what it's called. Yep, output right here. So it's this URL. So I'll type in output for the fields to include. Then we'll test the step, and it should pull through our videos in this clean format. Now I'll go back to Canvas. We'll click plus here, and I'm going to type in merge. And then I'll click on this merge node. I'll change the mode to combine, and we're going to combine by position. And I'm going to add an option here for include any unpaired items, and I'm going to turn that on. And then we'll go back to Canvas. Now we have this merge node here, and I can pull in the upload to Cloudinary into the input too. So we'll get that base 64 from the file we created. It'll upload it to Cloudinary, and then it's going to pass that over to the merge field. So now I'm going to run this merge, and it should pull through the item from Cloudinary, and now we're back on the right track. Now I'm going to right click and duplicate my Ocode kit and pull it over to the merge, and I'm just going to pull the merge into there. Now I'll click into it, and I want to rename this to create editor JSON. So I'll do create editor JSON and hit rename. We can leave this on post. We're still using Python code and the headers look great. So we can continue scrolling here to the send body. And now we're just going to need to input some different code here. So I'll make sure that this is on expression. It already is, but I'm just going to delete the code that's currently in here, and I'm going to put my new code in. And then I'll open this in a full window. Now, what we're doing here is we're taking in all of those outputs, and then we're turning it into something that creatomate, which is the video editing software, can understand. So it's going to pull in all of these output URLs, and then it's going to place them into a new JSON object that can be understood by creatomate. Now that I have that in, let's just test this step and see how it does. And it pulls through the creatomate code for us. Now I'll go back to Canvas, and this is outputting the code that we need, but now I'm going to set a variable for it so that we can get just the code variable coming through, and we don't have all the other data coming from this zero code kit module. So I'll hit plus, I'll type in set, and I want to click on the edit fields set. And I'll just rename this to set JSON variable, and then I'll rename it. And I just want to pull this source directly into this drop field here. Then I'll rename this to creatomate request. And we'll test the step. and it pulled through our request right here. Now I'll go back to Canvas. We'll add in another HTTP request, and I'm just going to call this one editor and hit rename. And now we're going to post, and we're going to post to this creatomate.com URL v1 renders. We'll check send headers, and we need to authorize creatomate. So I'll put in the authorization name, and then we need to go get the value. So you can head over to creatomate.com, click get started, click on these three dots, and then click project settings. And you should see API key here. So you can click to reveal, and then you can copy this API key. Now over here, I'm going to type in bearer space, and then I'm going to paste in my API key for creatomate. We'll add another parameter, and this one is going to be content-type. And again, we're going to do application/JSON. Now I'm going to check send body. For the specify body, we'll do using fields below. I'm going to type in source. And then we're just going to drag the value for this entire creatomate request into the value section there. Now I'll hit test step. And as you can see, it's planned to edit that video, and I can see the URL of the final edited video here. I'll go back to Canvas, and now we're going to add another wait step while that waits to render. So I'll click plus, type in wait. I'll click on wait here, and this one needs to be about 1 minute. But I usually like to go a little longer, so we'll go seconds, and I'll go 70 seconds. So we'll go 1 minute and 10 seconds. And then I'm going to rename this one to rendering just to show what we're waiting for. I'll hit rename. Back to Canvas. Then we'll duplicate our editor. I'll zoom out because it went way over here, and I'll drag it back over. And then we're going to connect our editor, and I'll click into here, and I'm going to rename this to get final video. Hit rename, and I'm going to paste in this URL and change it to expression. So this should pull from our editor node that we just created, and it should pull the JSON ID. So it's going to pull in the render that we want to pull from. I'm going to change the method to get. We can leave the send headers on, and we don't need content type, and we don't need the send body. Now I'm just going to hit test step, and I'll go back to Canvas while it's rendering. And as you can see here, it's doing that rendering step, and it should be 70 seconds, and then we should get our final video. And finally, our video is complete. So I'll click into get final video. And then if I scroll over here, I should see a URL. So I'll grab that, and we're going to open it in a new tab.
Discover unexpected, quirky life hacks for everyday brilliance. Join us as we explore creative video ideas that include unique DIY projects, daring cooking experiments, and original travel vlogs. Discover unconventional angles and compelling storytelling techniques that transform ordinary moments into unforgettable content. Perfect for creators seeking fresh inspiration and shareable magic in every frame. Like and subscribe now for fresh, inspiring content.
So as you can see, that was the completed video, and I really like how this style turned out. Again, if you want to join AI Foundations, then you can use the link below this video or in the top pinned comment. With that being said, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you guys in the next one.